Harry S. Truman was born in Lamar, Missouri on May 8, 1884. He had a younger brother and sister. The family moved during Truman's childhood, settling in Kansas City in 1902. After graduating high school, he worked briefly as a timekeeper for a railroad construction contractor, then as a clerk in two Kansas City banks. He later returned to help his father run the family farm and continued to do so for the next 10 years. When the United States entered World War I in 1917, he helped organize the 2nd Regiment of Missouri Field Artillery, which was quickly called into Federal services as the 129th Field Artillery and sent to France. Truman was promoted to captain and given command of the regiment's Battery D. After the war, Truman joined the reserves and then rose to the rank of colonel. Chief of Party. The midterm election of 1946 showed a weak Democratic Party that lost seats. Both the House and Senate were controlled by the Republican Party for the first time since 1928. This decreased Harry S. Truman's chance of re-election. He tried to keep the South in the Democratic Party by changing to have a rhetorical view of civil rights, but still lost the support of the South. Nixon is given a D as his role in Chief of Party due to the fact that he was not popular in his own party. Harry Truman was put in a position where he was compared to Roosevelt. Unlike Roosevelt, Harry Truman lacked speaking skills and did not talk much to the public. However, the public did relate to Truman's hard-working and honest behavior. Unfortunately, Truman was unable to meet the precedent set by Roosevelt, therefore giving him a C+. He was saved, however, by his hard-working and honest behavior and his ability to connect with the people. Chief Diplomat. Harry Truman met with leaders of other nations to determine how to administer punishment to the defeated Nazi Germany. The North Atlantic Treaty of 1949 assured military assistance against possible aggression from the Soviet Union. Truman's work with foreign policy helped shape similar principles that formed the American foreign policy used in the 20th century. He also wanted to stop the spread of communism. Harry Truman receives a grade of an A- as chief diplomat due to the fact that he helped the Allies and supported protecting the United States of America. Chief Legislator. One of the most important things on Truman's legislative agenda was the Fair Deal, which was meant to provide aid to education, universal health insurance, and was also meant to repeal the Taft-Hartley Act. Only one act of the Fair Deal, the Housing Act of 1949, was passed. During Truman's term, he also had 250 vetoes. Truman receives a grade of a B- as chief legislator due to the fact that he did not have a great relationship with Congress. Chief Executive. Harry Truman created the National Security Council and CIA, which increased the national security apparatus. Truman also wanted to expand presidential war powers, which is good during his time because it quickened the response time to the war, but it left out the opinions of Congress. Truman was a respectful and tactful leader. Truman also increased government intervention in the economy. Harry Truman receives a B+ in his role as chief executive due to the fact that he is a well-balanced decision maker. Commander-in-Chief. Under Truman's rule, atomic bombs were dropped on Nagasaki and Hiroshima, Japan, which ultimately led to Japan's surrender and the end of World War II. Also under Truman's rule, the armed forces were desegregated. In regards to the Korean War, a formal declaration of war was not given by Congress. Harry Truman received an A- as Commander-in-Chief due to the fact that he made aggressive decisions to keep the country safe. Of the economy. Under Truman, unemployment and inflation rose significantly. This led to an increased fear that the nation's post-war economic boom was over. In order to fix the budget, Truman increased taxes and reduced spending, however, he failed. His failure led him to give tax breaks to businesses in 1949. The economy responded, however, and emerged in 1950. The Employment Act of 1946 helped the unemployed. Truman receives a grade of C- as guardian of the economy due to the fact that the economy fell and unemployment and inflation rates were high. Of recreation. Occasionally, Truman enjoyed walking and swimming. He also enjoyed music. As a child, Truman learned to play piano, and during his presidency, he played piano as a method of relaxation. Truman receives a C as Chief of Recreation which is an average grade due to the fact that he doesn't do much to entertain himself. To recap, Truman's individual grades are as follows: Chief of Party, D; Head of State, C+; Chief Diplomat, A-, Chief Legislator, B-, Chief Executive, B+, Commander-in-Chief, A-, Guardian of the Economy, C-, and Chief of Recreation, C. Final grade. Harry S. Truman earns a B- overall due to his lack of preparedness and his dwindling support. His redeeming qualities were his ability to relate to the people, his military aggressiveness, and his foreign policy. Works cited: